So, folks, we are talking to Scynthia Syfrett today. She is the Workers' Compensation Program Manager at Sharp Healthcare based in San Diego. I've had the pleasure of working with her for over a year now, putting together various educational programs. She is really knowledgeable, like Ralph and I, very passionate about educating folks in workers' compensation. So, Ralph, let's go talk to Scynthia.
Let's do it.
Hello, Scynthia. How are you?
Hello, Yvonne.
So Scynthia Syfrett is joining us today. She is the Workers' Compensation Program Manager for Sharp Healthcare based in San Diego. Did I get it wrong or did I get it right?
No, you got it perfectly right. It is paradise down here in San Diego.
And so just a little bit more background on Sharp Healthcare. It is the largest healthcare system in San Diego. And we have had the opportunity to work quite a bit together over the past year or so in several capacities. So I'm really excited to have you as our guest today on the podcast and get your perspective on workers' compensation from a employer who is a high deductible program.
That's correct. We are $1 million per claim. Ooh.
Wow. So there's some special nuances that we have to pay attention to as an employer with a high deductible program. So before we get into that and all those things, Scynthia, we always love to navigate the conversation by having our guests begin with how you journeyed into the workers' compensation system. So tell us how you did that.
I was a wee lass of 18 when I started in work comp back in 1988. And I started off as a file room clerk for Liberty back in the days, and then it became Kemper. And from Kemper, I moved over to Safeco, and then from Safeco, I came to San Diego, and it's paradise, and I never left it. And I jumped and skipped around. I worked at Ware and Wood. I worked for Cambridge. I worked for TriStar. I've worked for, let's see who else, ACES, which is how I was first introduced to Sharp Healthcare. They purposely went out and recruited me, and I stayed with ACES for almost 13 years for Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left there briefly. It took 3 years, just hopscotching around City of Ventura. I did risk management, learned all about policies and how they were written. I went out and presented and did their 18 different school locations. And then I worked for ICW, Insurance Company of the West. Love them all. Miss you all. They are the best. And from ICW Group, I was supposed to only be at Sharp for 8 weeks. I was returning a favor to Miss Debbie Birdsong. She was going out for a little while, and COVID hit.
Oh.
And 2 weeks after being there, Debbie decided not to come back. And I have been there ever since. So over 5 years now.
Wow.
So
I hadn't heard that story, that element of the story. Interesting.
Yeah. It was, I had never intended on being on the employer side. I had always planned on being on the TPA training, working with people straight out of college and helping them learn what they loved in insurance. It wasn't just work comp. It was all the different aspects, from underwriting to getting out and doing client relations, doing subrogation, liability, property. I, at one point in time, was even on a CAT team. So there's not anything about insurance I don't love. So.
Well, I love that. Ralph's going to love that too, because so we like to say that we that have been in the system for as long as we have are seasoned. We know a lot about the evolution of the workers' compensation industry and all of its ups and downs and good things and warts and all, right?
Yeah.
But so let's talk about your role now at Sharp Healthcare. And we're going to kind of take a deep dive for a few minutes and talk about all the things that you have to think about and pay attention to in your roles. What are some of the unique challenges that a healthcare organization like Sharp faces when managing workers' compensation cases that might differ from other industries?
Well, everyone's your client. Everyone from the employee to the director to the CEO to the pharmacist is my client.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about making everyone happy, as well as you don't want to lose an adjuster. You have a working relationship with everyone. So it's a constant communication. It's a constant coaching. You don't go into any conversation on the attack. You go in solving for a solution. In my role, it's not just a matter of vendor relations. Everyone's my vendor. At the same time, you'll hear everyone, oh, I'm your vendor. No, not really. I'm coming to you to do work for me. So I have to be clear and concise with you. I can't expect you to provide me the best service possible if I'm not giving you clear guidance. And if that clear guidance doesn't happen, that's when things go awry. If you're not communicating to my employee correctly, it all comes back to me. If anything fails, it all comes back to me. So I literally look at everyone that they're my client. I have to make sure everything runs smoothly. It's a lot.
It is a lot. So I know that we've chatted so we've done several educational events together, and we've had the chance to talk quite a bit. But what are some of the unique challenges that you face from your perspective when you're handling injured employees at your healthcare system? What are some of the things that are causing you some angst that are maybe difficult to navigate?
The biggest aspect of it is employees wanting to come back to work. And they'll get, if the case is not getting resolved in under a year, you know you're looking at restrictions at the end of the day. If it's under a year, 80% of the time, they don't have permanent restrictions keeping them out of work. But if it's after a year, they're going to have permanent restrictions. It keeps me up at night. That's someone's career. That's someone's family. I'm also part of accommodation review. So it's not like the work comp gets done and I get to hand it off to someone else and forget about them. That injured worker is mine forever. Even if they leave the company, they're still mine. So that's a problem. I feel that a lot of times in workers' compensation, we're still practicing those work restrictions that we don't even rely on them for permanent disability anymore. So are we really addressing work restrictions appropriately? Are we really looking at those job descriptions? Because in the AMA, that's not what's deciding the PD.
Mm. So could you walk us through how your team approaches when an injured employee is hurt on the job or becomes ill through the course of their work? Walk us through what it typically looks like from the moment of injury to the time that they return to work. What does that typically look like for you?
I have to tell you, you are literally the first person who's ever asked me that. Wow,
Really?
thank you. Yeah, nobody ever wants to ask me that. So someone gets injured at Sharp, they have to let a leader know. They have to let, it doesn't matter what leader. Somebody besides them has to enter that into our human resources system. We're paperless. So it's Workday. And a lot of people know Workday as a human resource platform. Well, we turned their safety incidences into a work comp platform. I think we're the only employer who does this. Maybe Petco is the other one.
Oh.
So that leader goes in, and it's not an easy to do system. So they have to go in and put all of the qualifying information. You'd think in healthcare, they would all know left hand, right hand. No. So they'll put that in. It gets reported to us. They have to do that before the end of the shift. It'll come to my team. Now, my team for 22,000 people, 4 facilitators, 1 supervisor. That's it.
Oh, wow.
So we check all of those coming in, and we go through and we validate that everything is accurate so that the 3 times a day, those upload through the system over to our TPA Corval. So When it goes into them, we've already identified, is it a medical only? Is it an indemnity claim? Is it a first aid claim, meaning, there wasn't anything besides a Band-Aid and a one-time treatment, because we know first aids are really small nowadays, where they used to be a lot more. Miss those days. But then what Eddie and I are looking at is is there anything odd about this? Is there something that we need to have safety look at? Was there something we can learn from? For instance, was that employee lifting alone? Was that employee using equipment inappropriately? Is this the fourth time this person has used a needle inappropriately? Was someone walking around with a scalpel in their hand? So this is what we call our Easters. So somebody has to go through from safety and meet with that leader and that employee differently. Then we look at, did that employee actually get care? Did the leader follow the appropriate care? Did we get them to the ED or EOHD if they were still open? Employee Occupational Health Department. Why do we want them to go to Employee Occupational Health Department? Real quick, no bill. It's internal and it's quick. They can call over to Employee Occupational Health. Those nurses will see them immediately. We can run the test. We can get them seen, and we can get them right back to work. So nobody's losing time, because in California, the first 3 days, you don't get paid. Nobody wants to take their PTO or their ESI for those 3 days. So they can get right back in and get out. Now, if we go to Sharpie Steely Urgent Care or Sharpie Steely Occupational Med or the emergency department, they always take them off of work. They always send them home. So we at Sharp, we always pay them for that first day. Even before the union started coming in and tried to negotiate that, guess what? We already paid them for the first day. Even if it was, they only worked an hour, they still got 7 days paid. We did that because we felt that if you got injured at work, no matter what it was, if it was a workplace violence, you should just go home, take the rest of the day. We'll have someone else come in and fill that shift. You got hurt at work, it's a benefit. Work comp is not an entitlement, it is a workers' compensation benefit. Your employer traded off that to not get sued civilly, although civil lawsuits still happen. That's another story. So we got the case set up. It's over here with Corval. We have already sent them an email telling them if there's questionable issues. We're investigating it on our end with safety before we even tell Corval if there's a questionable issue. Why? We want our employees to get benefits. We have only questioned 2% of our cases per year. When I first started, we had an average of 1,200 cases of workers' compensation per year, from medical only all the way. Now we average around 780 a year. And out of those, 500 to 600 are medical only. So we have very, very small indemnity. We keep our lost times very, very small. Why? Because we want our employees working. We need them. They service our community. It's essential. You don't have nurses, can't take care of anybody. So that is what Carvel takes care of. Now, my team, what they do is they get a letter out to all of our employees. Now, understand, the leader who's already entered in the safety incident has given our employee an employee claim form, right? There's the first one. Now my team is sending a second employee claim form. Guess what? Corvel is going to send a third employee claim form. Why is that essential? Because that employee has all of their rights on that employee claim form. That's number one. Number two, as an employer, we are obligated to make sure that employee has that claim form. So there's no way around that we can't prove it when it goes out 3 times. But most importantly, which most people don't pay attention to, is on the second page where it's stating all those rights. Nobody reads that second paragraph, which tells an employee, by signing this form, you're giving your employer the right to investigate and review all of your medical records. The only one who can stop me from reviewing your medical records is a judge. Doesn't even say what kind of judge. It just says a judge. You'd think one of these days someone would clarify that. This form's been in place since the early 90s. I'm not an applicant attorney. Anyway, I'm a healthcare provider. I'm an employer. I also have ethics. I don't look at medical records. I'm not a medical practitioner. I don't want to dive into someone's medical records. But as an employer, when you sign an employee claim form, it does give me the right to investigate. So I want that claim form. I want that employee to read it. And I tell every employee out there, read what you're signing, please. That way you're not angry with me as an employer when I have to set you down and say, do you really understand what you've done? And what can happen and what I'm obligated as an employer to do. Because when you are doing something that is intentionally done to mislead, lie, or obtain benefits that you're not entitled to, that is punishable outside of administrative law, which is workers' comp. You now take it into a civil arena and I can't protect you. You can lose your right to practice medicine as a nurse. I've seen 6 nurses go to prison during my time in my career with Sharp. I don't want to see another one do it. It breaks my heart. I actually like people.
Yeah. Well, doing some quick math. So thank you for that overview, Scynthia. That's really
and there's so much more, but we'll cut there, right?
Well, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off? Well, let's pause then. Let's pause. And I wanted to say, so doing some quick math, with you said your claim counts went from 1,200 down to around 780. And that's not accounting for the fact that most of those are medical only. That's like a 35% reduction in claims. So you're doing something right. I know you're doing a lot of things right. But in what I heard from your overview is there's a lot of focus on communication. I know that's one of the things that we generally land on when we're doing our sessions together, right? Is you cannot overemphasize the importance of communication.
Yes. A lot of what has happened in workers' compensation is I'm very honest and transparent with injured workers. If a case is coming in and it is a safety aspect, I contact the director of safety and I bring him in the loop. If I see trends, I bring in the departments that there are trends. I will bring in wellness. I will bring in safety. I will bring in that department. I work with them. I am not a safety specialist. I will bring in the specialist that it applies to make trends and changes. When I first started at Sharp, everyone was in a silo. Nobody communicated with anyone. I have actively broken down silos. I don't feel that you can accomplish anything in a silo. So there is no fault. I don't point fingers. What I do is I coach. How do we solve? How do we get solutions? So when we see departments where we're seeing a huge increase in numbers, doesn't have to be even the same injury, I will work with wellness to have them go into that department and see what we can do to improve morale, what we can do to improve time. A lot of injuries happen because people are rushing. So how do we get people to stop rushing? How do we take accountability to change that? That's the next thing I'm rolling out is employee accountability, making sure employees realize 1 or 2 injuries are one thing, but when you're starting to work on your 3rd and your 4th injury, how are you accountable? You can't let children run in the play yard with scissors. You have an accountability too, and that accountability, if you continue to go on this, you're going to sign an acknowledgement that we've provided all the training, you know the policy and procedure. Now you could lose 50% of your benefits in a civil court. Because just like an employer is liable for serious and willful, so is an employee. We're not transparent. So how did I get numbers down? It's all about communicating. I look at every case that comes in. I read every description and I take the time to communicate back and forth. So what has happened? People are getting educated on work comp. Work comp, you'll see my little background here. It's like a chemistry lab. We're hidden. Nobody talks about it. We're the ugly stepchild because all we do is cost money. I don't like that. I feel that if you can communicate with people, you can reduce the numbers. I let employees know up front, I am so sorry you're injured. Thank you for everything you do for us in the community. Being in the workers' compensation system is not something anyone wants to be, and I appreciate you allowing me and my team to work with you. I will do my best to help you through the process, but please know, for every 100 doctors you have in private care, there is probably one or two in work comp. Please be patient through the process. There are a lot of legal steps that have to be done. Through private care, you receive care instantly. That is not how it works in workers' comp. We have to do requests for authorization. Sometimes that will go through utilization review. It can take 5 days. Sometimes it will take longer, especially if there is miscommunication. But we are here to help you. If at any time you want to be removed from workers' compensation, that is your right. But I don't encourage you to stop treating. What I do encourage you to do is communicate with me, and we will see if we can approach a compromise and release so we can settle out your case.
So you do a lot to educate the employee. That's really good, because oftentimes we are telling people that you need to do that. So it's really good that you guys are doing that. You're really contributing to a culture of caring there at Sharp Healthcare. But I want to pause for a minute, Scynthia, and let Rafael. So Rafael is the legal. He's the legal brains, and he's an attorney. He's an attorney, so he's going to have different questions than I do. So Ralph, I'm going to let you jump in here and ask Scynthia a couple of questions.
Cynthia, you are awesome. I have been taking notes the entire time, because I don't think we've ever had a guest that has explained the process with such intent and purpose in really walking us through very nicely detailed of, what your team does for all your 22,000 customers, for all of the folks that you are serving every day. So I am really, really enjoying this. I am learning, like all of our listeners, I think will be taking notes, because you really have built what an amazing process over there. I really enjoyed listening to you. You've mentioned a couple of times the injection of Corvel into your process. So you have a team, you do it yourself, you're managing, but of course you need help with maybe the delivery of indemnity benefits or the delivery of that healthcare away from your own facilities. I'm gathering that's how you use Corvel, the third-party administrator, in that regard.
I work really well with my team. Eric Taylor is the supervisor for my indemnity claims, and he and I have known each other for over 20 years.
Wow.
Hi, Eric. We love you, Eric.
I know. Shout out to Eric and a shout out to Corvel. So I wasn't trying to plug them at all. Corvel has been phenomenal. When I originally went to Sharp, we were with ESAs, and that is where I came from. We decided to try different things. I run our program. So when I say I am a program manager, I actually do look at the policies come in. We go out to bid. It has nothing to do with who we're with, whether we're happy or not. We go out to bid every 2 years. And so everyone comes in and they offer up what their programs are. And financial improvement plans are real, people. So hospitals, COVID, you see them all the time. Hospitals are going out of business. And work comp is 40% right off the top of anyone's net profit. So when you're looking at programs every 2 years, we have to turn the business around. We have to we're not revenue. We don't make a revenue. So how do we turn that benefit to negate that ongoing expense? So I'm going to go deep here, guys. And Rafael, I'm sure you know about this. We have collateral. So you have to have that collateral built up. How can you get that collateral back? How do you get those letters of credit back? By reducing your caseloads. You have to get the caseloads down. You have to get that reserve money gone. You have to get those exposures down. So when I first came through the door, I had to get from 1978 to current down. So I've reduced their caseloads by half. Now, how do you keep that going? Keep the caseloads going down. Corvell was essential. I needed to get a team together as well as make sure that the per claim fee was reduced. Corvell met me in the middle. They gave us such a phenomenal deal to come in the door. Well, it was so amazing. I took all of our cases, everything I had with ESOS. And we were cradle to grave. So people who don't understand what cradle to grave is, it's when you're paying a substantial fee because they're going to keep it for the life of the claim. Mm-hmm. We took life of claim files. We wouldn't have to pay a penny more and took them over to Corvell. Now, if anyone's listening, don't ever pay cradle to grave. The reason you don't pay cradle to grave is, why would you do anything if you're not getting money for it? Why would you do anything if you're not getting paid for your time? It sits there. Nothing happens. Well, what that does to an employer is your collateral keeps going up, 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 up. Your ex-mon keeps going up, 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 up. It's not getting worked. All they're doing is they're just paying the medical. Boom, boom, boom. You got to get the claims closed. You got to get them settled. And that old saying, the only good claim is a closed claim, is true if it's not coming back. So Corvell did an amazing thing. They got me the right team. I had Victor Carrillo, who he advanced. That's why he's not on my team anymore. Yay, Victor. And Eric. So now I have a great claims team. They started me off with 10 adjusters. Guys, I'm down to 6. I've never gone into a TPA that has ever said, we're going to give you 10. We're going to keep you at 125 cases. Everyone's normally like, oh, it's 145, and it goes up to 180. Corvell did everything great. Eric is a working supervisor. He's in those cases. He doesn't just follow a diary. He gets in and then he's on with the attorneys going, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And the reason he does that is Eric was on my team. I was his supervisor. I mentored him to take over for me when I left ESOS. But that never happened because, well, he's now my supervisor on Sharp. So, yes, he knows Sharp great because he was on it at ESOS. He knows we have a lot of special instructions. When you have $1 million deductible, you have certain vendors. You have certain things that you work. Another thing is I don't use litigation review. Why don't I use litigation review, Rafael? Because I will pick up the phone when I want to talk to an attorney and they pick it up because I work a rate with my attorneys. I value their time. These billable hour craps, I don't know how defense attorneys do it. I mean, unless you can miraculously make hours in a day, there are not that many hours in a day. So I don't like litigation review. I didn't like it 20 years ago when they rolled it out. And I really don't like it that they then charge the defense attorney to reduce their own bills. Are you freaking kidding me? Sorry, a little passionate on that one.
I am loving it. I'm telling you, we need to have you back. We need more. I love the detail, right, that you're giving us, especially for the audience that we're trying to build our season 5 year 4, introduction, beginners, folks who are just starting out. You are the right person for the job. Oh my gosh, I'm loving it.
Aww,
I know
thanks.
that we cut you off originally, right? Because I think you indicated to Yvonne, oh, there's more. So I want to give you that opportunity to, sort of give us whatever that more was here, right? Since we've got limited time, I want to make sure that you give us what you think is significant to you.
So what do? Well, my team has to call leaders to bring them back to mod duties. We have to try to find permanent duties. We work with leaders. Let's say that they here's scuttlebutt. We have to determine if that scuttlebutt is factual or not. We work with our investigators. We work with our doctors with Sharpey-Steely. We feel that if they're being patient guided, in other words, the patient's literally giving them exactly what they want in restrictions, we have to go back and say RQI is not a restriction. It is a title of it's CPR basically. You have to give the restrictions. We also work on behalf of clients, not, like the city of San Diego, or if we have the school district, someone has an issue, we will jump in and say, hey, we need X, Y, and Z happening. Or the Sharpey-Steely will call me and say, hey, I need this kind of specialist. Can you hit the pavement and help us? So it's recognizing the community need. That's the other piece that we do. I work with actuaries. I work with reporting to the state because I still have a self-insured policy. Remember, we've been doing business since 1978, so I still have cases from 1978. I also do all of our financial treasury reporting. I have to make sure the collateral is obtained and that I let my VP know what that part is. I work with our risk manager in getting our certificates of insurance out to the different locations that our employees work at. I make sure I let the city of San Diego know that we are appropriately insured. I work with our brokers. I work with benchmarking reports. I work with safety and reporting out to them what our total case incident rate is, because that is letting our executives know how well their teams are doing. I go out and teach on workers' compensation 101. I do a new leader orientation every month. I set in our just accountability meetings and make sure that they're teaching our leaders what just accountability means, because it's not just employees that have to be just accountable. We do too. We are not bosses. We are leaders. We do not go into discussions to reprimand. We go into discussions to build and to coach and to support. We need our employees. Our employees are the organization. We are nothing without them because they service our community. Let's see, what else? Oh, and then I get to have fun and I get to have symposiums. And then I get to, my team knows.
Let's pause on that, right? Because we just did one. And it was great. And this is the second year I was able to see and talk to Eric. It's not the only way I talk to Eric, but I met him for the first time last year. And he really is amazing. So if you're listening, Eric, can't wait to talk to you again. But the symposium is a way of educating the community. And we're looking forward to doing another one in 2026. So if you're listening and you can make it to San Diego in April of 26, mark your calendars now.
We already got it booked.
We're going to do it. But those are really great ways to educate the community. And so we're all three of us are really passionate about education and teaching folks sort of how to navigate the industry to learn it quicker and be more effective, right, than all of us had to learn it.
I still tab my labor code. I do. Like every time I get a new one, I sit down with my old tabs and put them in there, and then I look for new pieces that I don't know yet.
Cynthia, you and we are going to get along just fine. I'm a hugger and a kisser, and I am going to owe you a hug and a kiss.
Oh, I'll take your hugs.
I have really, really enjoyed this conversation. How lucky Sharp is to have someone like you with your experience, with your background, with your knowledge, your engagement, right? And you've got such incredible wealth of experience that you bring to the table that you're using in all aspects of the multiple things that you are doing every single day. How lucky are they to have someone like you lead their workers' comp program? That's absolutely incredible. All the things that you are doing, you're making them better for sure.
Oh, I feel lucky. I tell you, Sharp does amazing things for this community every single day. And they really, really do love their employees. To have someone like me there, they could have someone that is not pro-employee, but they They had 14 other candidates. I gave them the names. I really did.
Well, Ralph, we chat about this quite frequently in our journeys. But this is another example of how the employer places an emphasis on building the right culture, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So important to the outcomes. When you treat your employees well, communicate with them, educate them. Gee, it's a funny thing how things seem to turn around with your claims, right?
And you can hear it. You can hear it in her, in the way that she talks about all of these different multiple steps to truly try and care of those employees. So yeah, Yvonne and I love that. Building the right culture, really, it's hard. It's not easy, but boy, oh boy, do you see a difference.
But it
And
has
you're
the
proving it.
dividends that it pays off are huge.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, I want to ask you one more question. We need to keep it super brief. So Scynthia, tell our listeners, how has your approach changed over the years? And what are some important lessons, just one or two, that you want to provide to our listeners that they should be focusing on as they build their careers?
Find something you're passionate about in everything you do. It makes the day go quicker, and it makes the hard days easier. If you're not passionate about something in your career, then it's not the career for you. You spend more time at work with the people that you're there with than you ever will your family. So if you're not happy where you're at, go find some place you will be happy, because life is too short to be someplace you're not happy. No matter how much money it is, you can get paid more money someplace else. Trust me.
That is so true. But man, Ralph, the question that Ralph and I have, and I'm sure you do too, is like, what is it about workers' compensation that people aren't passionate about? I mean, we're so enthralled in all the different.
It's not work comp. It's really not work comp, and you know it just as well as I do. It's not insurance. It's not work comp. It's what we're having them do.
True.
If you work for a leader that is truly a boss, and you work for an insurance company, and this is something I want you guys, I want to beg you guys, get some adjusters that are innovative at different TPAs, different insurance companies, and get them to sit down and say, if you could change things, how would you change it? What would you change? Because I can tell you right now, the first thing I would do is I would change diaries.
Mm.
And diaries are there as a place marker to remind you to do stuff. But could those reminders be automatic? I mean, Yvonne, you know my love for AI. Why are we not looking for solutions, not to replace people, but the solutions that are place markers for AI, instead of an adjuster going in and putting in diary, that AI going in, pulling that information, and then going back to that adjuster going, hey, this is not done. You now need to do that communication piece, because that's our skill piece. That's what we need to excel in, and that's where work comp is exciting. If you're not a communicator, then go and do something in numbers. If you're not someone who wants to enjoy engaging with someone else, go do contracts. It's so fun. You get to be a therapist, a doctor, all of these things. But then we put these, send a letter. Well, why isn't the system sending it? Send a check. Why isn't the system automatically doing it? Do a diary. Why isn't the system automatically doing this?
Well, so I'm gonna stop you there, because I know that we're going to be talking about these things again in the future, and specifically at a conference later this year, Elevate.
Yay!
In San Diego, and you two will be able to meet in person.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to come join my panel?
Some of these very things we're going to be talking about.
Love it, love it, love it.
What did you say, Cynthia? What did you say?
I said, can we put Rafael on my panel with me? I'm going to need all the help I can get.
I don't know. He's got some panels of his own, so we're gonna have to see if we can make that work. He's on another committee from you. He's doing the med-legal committee.
Aw.
But anyway, this has been fun. Ralph and I consistently say that with any of our guests, we could talk for hours and hours, and you are no exception, Scynthia. So thank you.
It's very true here. Yep.
Thank you for joining us today, and I'm sure we'll have you back again in the near future.
Thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and
Thanks, Cynthia.
we always say until next time, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.